Hello sports fans, welcome to Super Sports Central. Today, we're going to be going over my Week 1 UFL predictions. So we'll dive right into things and start things off with the game on Friday or tonight. In the UFL season opener, we've got the Stallions against the Kings. So I think this should be a pretty good game to open the season, as we've got the Stallions, who have been one of the best teams in spring football over the past few years, against a new team in the UFL, the Louisville Kings. But the Kings, they're led by former Kansas quarterback Jason Bean, and he was very solid during his time at Kansas. Now, he never put up insane numbers, but that's because he was mostly their backup and only played when their starter got hurt, which was quite often. But Jason Bean, he's a good player, he's a good runner, and I think he should be able to have a good game because I don't love the Stallions' pass defense. I do think their defense is solid, but the secondary for the Stallions lost a lot of players in the offseason, and I think Jason Bean and this Kings offense should be able to take advantage of that. Now, on the other side, the offense for the Stallions, I think is quite good. They're led by quarterback Matt Corral, who's now in his third year with the team, and we've seen him play at a very high level in the UFL. He just needs to stay healthy. And I think Matt Corral and the Stallions offense are going to be able to put up some points because the Kings defense isn't the greatest, plus there's a ton of talent around Matt Corral. But I think this should be a pretty good game to open up the season, and I think both these teams should be able to score some points. But I don't really know who to take here. Now, I do trust the Stallions offense a little bit more with the experienced quarterback and just the overall playmakers they have on offense. But the Kings, they're also at home. It's a sold-out crowd, and I could see them with the win. But I'm going to take the Stallions to get the win and beat the Kings in a good game to open the season, as the Stallions win by a score of 26-22. Moving to the couple games we have on Saturday, starting off with the Defenders at the Battlehawks. And this should be another good game, as not only is it a huge rivalry, but I also think these are two of the better teams in the UFL. But we've got the Defenders, who are the defending champs, against the Battlehawks, who were also great last year, as they went 8-2, which was actually the best record during the regular season. But I think both these teams are going to be good once again, and I think this should be another great game. Now, the Defenders' offense, they look great once again, and they brought back pretty much every key contributor from last year's team. But they face a Battlehawks defense that I think is quite good, and I also really like some of the changes they made during the offseason. Now, on the other side, it's also a very good matchup, but both the Battlehawks offense and the Defenders' defense underwent some changes during the offseason. As the Battlehawks, they're now starting Brandon Silvers at quarterback, and he's a major upgrade over what they had last year with Max Duggan, and they should have an effective passing offense this season. But the St. Louis offense, they face a Defenders defense that also lost some key players, like linebacker Anthony Hines, but I still think this defense is quite good. But this is another tough one to predict, and the game can definitely go either way. I do think the Defenders are slightly better, but the Battlehawks, they're at home. They've really hard to beat in St. Louis, as they're 13-5 at home since the start of the 2023 season, so this game can really go either way. But I'm going to take the Defenders to get the win. I just trust them a little bit more, and I've got them with the win 26-20, but this is going to be a great game. Moving on to the next game, also on Saturday, we've got the Gamblers at the Renegades. So we have two Texas teams here, and both these teams went 5-5 last season and missed the playoffs. But both these teams also have a ton of potential, and I could see them being quite good this year. But the Renegades, they've announced former Western Kentucky quarterback Austin Reed as their starting quarterback, and that's a pretty big surprise considering they still have Luis Perez, who's been with the team each of the past 3 years. Now, Austin Reed is a pretty good quarterback, and during his time at Western Kentucky, he put up huge numbers, with 83 total touchdowns in the 2 years he was at Western Kentucky combined. Now, obviously, playing in that air raid offense at Western Kentucky definitely helps, but I still think he's a good player. Now, the interesting thing here for the Renegades is they've said they're going to play Austin Reed as well as Luis Perez, and I don't love that idea because we've seen teams get hurt by playing a two-quarterback system, and we saw that a lot last year because it really never allows either quarterback to get into a rhythm, and then the offense struggles to move the ball. And for the Renegades, I think that could happen, and I also don't think they're really going to have a great run game to lean back on because I'm not the biggest fan of their running back room. Plus, they also face a Gamblers defense that I think is quite good. Now, on the other side, the offense for the Gamblers also could be playing two quarterbacks. They've named Nolan Henderson their starter, but head coach Kevin Sumlin said former Iowa State quarterback Hunter Deckers should also see some playing time. So again, I don't love that. Although I do think this could work for the Gamblers because at least Henderson and Deckers have different skill sets, with Nolan Henderson being more of a mobile rushing quarterback. But I still don't love the idea of a two-quarterback system. Especially because the Gamblers offense, they also face a Renegades defense that, again, I think is pretty good. But this is another tough one to predict. I like both these defenses. I don't think either offense is going to be amazing if they both play two quarterbacks. So I really have no idea who to take here. But I'm going to take the Renegades because they're at home. But I think we have a defensive game here, and I'll take the Renegades by a score of 16-10. And moving to our final game in Week 1, we've got two new teams. We've got the Aviators at the Storm, and this game takes place on Sunday. But I'm really excited to see these two new expansion teams, and I think both actually should be pretty good, despite it being their first year in the league. But the Aviators' offense looks pretty good, and they're led by quarterback Jalen McClendon, who finally gets the opportunity to be a team's full-time starter, after looking pretty good in a backup role over the past few years with various teams. Plus, Jalen McClendon should also be helped out with a good run game, because I really like the running backs the Aviators have. But while I do think this Aviators offense is quite good, I also think this Storm defense is one of the better defenses in the UFL. Now, on the other side, the offense for the Storm has a ton of potential, but there is some unknowns, and that starts at quarterback, because they've named Jack Plummer their starting quarterback, and he was solid in college in his time at Purdue, Cal, and Louisville, but he was never really elite. Now, the Storm, they're another team that I think could end up playing multiple quarterbacks. Now, unlike the Renegades and the Gamblers, they have not said they're going to play two quarterbacks, but I think we could see that happen, because the Storm, they also have Dorian Thompson-Robinson, and it seemed like this was the closest quarterback battle of all the 8 teams, because they didn't name a starter until today, Friday, when I'm recording this video. But even though there is uncertainty at quarterback, I do think the Storm should be able to run the ball well with Sean Corbin, who led the UFL in rushing last season. Although the Storm offense faced an Aviators defense that looks pretty solid. But this is another game that could really go either way. I would take the Aviators because of the more experienced quarterback with Jalen McClendon, but while they've got the experienced quarterback, they've also got an inexperienced head coach with Ted Ginn Jr., who's never coached a game before. And then for the Storm, while they've got the inexperienced quarterback, they've got a coach in Anthony Becht who knows how to win games and won a lot of them with the Battlehawks. Now, he didn't necessarily win the big games in the playoffs, but he was able to win a lot of regular season games. But this is a game that is very tough to predict. I do think both these expansion teams will be pretty good this year, and it could really go either way. I'm going to take the Storm to get the win because of their run game and defense, and they're also at home, but this is a game that could definitely go either way, but I've got the Storm by a score of 20-16. But those are my UFL Week 1 predictions. We'll actually be having a live watch party for tonight's game in the season opener between the Kings and Stallions, so if you guys happen to see this video before that, be sure to check out the stream. But thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like the video, subscribe, turn notifications. I do my best to post as often as possible. Be sure to also check out the community tab of my channel, where you guys can vote on who you think win this week's games. But thank you guys for watching. I do my best to post as often as possible, and I will see you in the next video.